going, guys?
Hey, Jimmy. Jimmie, when you look at this game against UCLA, how do you feel that your run game has progressed over the course of the year, especially having been able to really use Jonah for the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think it's coming along great in terms of we kind of talked about getting our running back room going and not relying on Damon too much. We know he's going to make some plays with his feet, and he did this past game too as well with some design stuff and also, getting out of trouble on a big 3rd and 1, had a nice scramble for us up the sideline. But doing a really good job up front, and just continuing to harp on that, and it hasn't been perfect at times throughout the year, but it's something that we've really committed to. And Coach Switz and all the players have done a great job, despite anything. Guys going out of the lineup, guys getting moved around, John Mills being a good example of that, guys in different spots. But at the end of the day, you got to commit to wanting to run the football. And I think we've done that. And to the players' credit, they've done a good job with it. And it's really everything's got to tie in together. It's the offensive line, it's the running backs, it's how plays are tied in with some of the stuff we're doing with Demond. But it all plays a factor, and the guys are doing a good job of really accepting that role and going out and attacking it.
When you were working with Pocky as a true freshman last year, did you see a guy who could play 3 positions in one game?
I don't know if you ever see that, per se, but it's good that we have guys that are versatile like that, whether it's Pocky, John, we talk a lot about, but to have that versatility to be in different spots. Zach Henning's done it throughout his career, doing a nice job for us at center right now. So guys that have that flexibility in their positions, and whether it's offensive line or receivers or running backs, whatever, the guys that have multiple skill sets that can go out there and execute in games is always a benefit, especially when you run into situations like is inevitable in football where guys are getting dinged up throughout the year. It's a long season, and be able to move some pieces around and still be effective and be productive is a really good thing. It's a credit to him.
That's how your other freshman offensive linemen who aren't playing this year have progressed, like Jack Schaefer and Jake Flores and Lowen Coleman-Brusa.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked about those guys. I mean, more of the typical process, that you see. You don't always see the guys that are out there playing at such a young age. They're really ahead of their time, which is awesome for them. But yeah, those other guys are still working incredibly hard at practice. We do a great job at the end of all of our practices of having what we call a basics period, and it's not a ton of plays. It's 8 to 10 plays, and it's where those young kids get to go and play, and they execute the plays, not just. They're obviously running the scout team plays throughout practice, but then they get to run our scheme. And those plays add up, through the course of a year when you start adding up after every practice, those 8 plays, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up. And those guys get better from it. And we continue to coach those guys throughout the year, even though they're maybe just helping, the other side of the ball in the scout team. So, again, I think those guys all have bright futures. They're working really hard. They're just not quite where those other guys are yet, but that doesn't mean it has to end that way. And those guys will keep on working, and we'll see where it goes. But we're excited about those guys.
Schaefer made his college debut last weekend, right? You guys put him on the field.
Yeah. Shafe got out there, and he's doing a fantastic job of owning his role of bringing juice on the sidelines, doing a great job with that, and also. Again, just a young guy that's continued to get better. He's got great size, and a guy we're excited about. Just needs another off season of the weight room and continue to get better and stronger. But with that size, I mean, there's something there. So we're excited about him.
Did you hear that story that he was getting goaded by UCLA students?
I don't know much about it. I mean, I saw there was some commotion, even from the box. I saw there was, some cheering going on behind our bench there. But, Shafe's a great kid. He's got a great energy about him. It's no surprise to us because he brings that kind of enthusiasm and doing whatever he can to help the team with a great attitude. And those are the kind of guys you want on your team. And whether it's in this building on a day-to-day basis or it's on the sideline at the Rose Bowl, you root for those guys. So really happy for him.
Do you have a sense yet, positionally, for where each of those 3 might end up, or where they're kind of tracking toward between tackle and on the interior?
It's probably still pretty early. You know, Lowen's been more of a center for us to this point. You know, Shafe, he's got some flexibility. You know, we do. You know, John's played some guard as a bigger guy. Sometimes it's nice to have that side. Everybody thinks the tall, rangy guys are more of those tackle bodies. But, you know, I think we're still kind of figuring that out, what he's going to be. I think he'll be a tackle, but you never know. It might be a guard. And then Jake Flores, you know, he's another guy that's, I think, got flexibility, probably going to end up being a tackle for us as well. But, you know, like I said, yeah, really excited about those guys. You know, we'll see kind of where it goes from there. But, you know, they all have good size, good traits, good athleticism. So kind of that flexibility, those guys. But that's where they're at right now.
Switz was with you guys, I think back to like Michigan. What was it about him as a young coach that stood out to you? And then, you know, what was it that made him the right choice to take over this group?
I mean, Switz is a grinder. You know, he's a grinder. He works incredibly hard. He's very detailed in what he does. He's a great communicator. I think he's always had that ability. Any good coach, great coach, has those traits. And now the communication piece is so key. And being yourself, being authentic. I think the players really enjoy playing for him, and he's got a good balance of being able to motivate and be hard on guys and get them to go, but also making it fun at times, and they have a good time together. You know, they enjoy each other. I think that's a great sign of a great coach, somebody that has that good balance, that good blend. But very, very sharp guy that played it at a high level. Just kind of has a good feel for all the positions and how to tie it all together with the communication piece between all of them up front. Has just done a really good job in the run game and the pass game for us. And, you know, he's a rising star for sure.
Where do you think is the biggest growth you've seen from Switz as a coach this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think probably just, you know, it hasn't been easy, you know, and it always kind of happens throughout a season. You're going to have guys go down with injuries and things like that. You know, that can always happen, but been pretty impressive with how he's handled that this year, moving guys around in different spots. You know, I mean, as far as the same 5 guys playing, I think after the first 3 games, it's been a different lineup almost every game. And to be able to handle that pretty seamlessly, you know, there's been some hiccups here and there, but to be able to produce the way that group has produced and done a good job for us throughout the course of the year overall, I think is a testament to him and, again, the kids.
You know, I didn't see him on any of the stat sheets, but watching the TV broadcast, I saw Luke Gayton come into the huddle. He played last Saturday, didn't he?
Yeah, Luke came in. Yeah, he came in and you know, gave us some relief. Again, another guy that's, you know, made a lot of plays in those basics period I was telling you about. Done a nice job for us. So, I mean, another good player that we can rely on, you know, at the end of games and things like that. Put him in, and you know he's going to know his role and go out there and be able to execute. So,
I've seen him, you know, all through the spring, and he looked like a pretty good football player, but still he's got all these scholarship guys lined up in front of him. Do you ever talk to him, or I guess does Kevin try to encourage him that, you know, there's a chance for him to play?
Yeah, I mean, this program is really set up in one where we coach everybody. You know, you don't just coach, you know, the 4 or 5 guys that are out there making the plays on Saturdays and everybody knows their name. You got to continue to develop. If we're going to be a developmental program, and that's what we're going to preach, it's every single person in this building that you have to spend time with, get to know, coach, mentor, love on, be hard on at times. You have to do that with every single person on the roster. And Coach KC's done a great job of that with all his guys, and it stems from Coach Fish all the way down to really all of us as coaches.
With senior day coming up, just what has this class meant to you? I know there's some guys you've had for 4 years, some guys who came in and gave you some big snaps. What has this group kind of meant to you personally?
I mean, yeah, that's one of the, you know, really special things about coaching is when you get to see the growth of kids and where they start to where they finish at, and not only as players but as people, and you see them coming as young kids. And, you know, I mean, Jonah's a kid as example. You know, I think we're going on, I don't know what it's going to be, 50, 51 games together that we've been in a hotel, gone through the process of going into a game, prepared the way we prepare, and then go out together and go play games. And and there's many stories like that. That's just one story, but you just feel like, very proud of the kids for the journey they've been on. You obviously want to end it on a high note, right? You want to go out there and be able to play that we know the way we're capable of playing on a Saturday and make it a really special day for those guys.
With Chris Lawson, obviously had the setbacks during fall camp with all the injuries, but where have you seen the most growth from over the course of the season?
I think with Chris, it's probably everything. Everything's just gotten better for him. The offense isn't one that's really easy to learn for a freshman at any position, and it's really challenging for a receiver to come in and learn the offense, and it's so detailed, all the routes and the splits and everything. There's so much to it. And he's a guy that's continued to work at it throughout. It was really cool seeing him make that big play for us in the Rose Bowl. I know he was super excited about it, and kind of lined up wrong on the next play. I think he was so excited, but then we got him overset on the right side. But as we've talked throughout the year, just really excited about that young group of wideouts, Chris especially being one that's maybe not at where, Dez and those guys have been just from a playing time standpoint, but we've seen him make so many plays throughout the course of the year in practice. Like, we know the skill set that's there, and really excited about him.
Jimmie, Raiden's been practicing, right, since the concussion?
Yeah.
Do guys sometimes, when they go through moments like that, come back a little tentative? Do you have to kind of coach through that a little bit?
It's always something you got to be – it's on your radar, right? You have to be a little bit concerned about anytime there's something like that happens that ended the way it did. You're always concerned about the player's welfare, their health, but also, like you said, the mental side of it, right? And I think all those things kind of played a factor in the decision with last week. Was he out there practicing, kind of working towards it, and just wasn't ready? We just didn't feel comfortable by the time we got to game day. But I think this week will be full go with him, and he'll be ready to roll.
And when those decisions are made to play or not play, is it just strictly all the doctor, like, do his parents get involved? How do those conversations go?
Yeah, I think it's you always rely on the professionals, the doctors, to make those determinations at the end of the day. There's a lot of conversations that go on with the player, with his parents, and the people that are behind him. That way, there's all those conversations that take place, but it ultimately is going to rely on what the doctors say at the end of the day. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jim. All right.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Go Dogs.
With Bexley Alexander, he came in and put on 25 pounds, and he's really had a payoff, I think, in the last 3 weeks with, at least just looking at his numbers, he's had double-digit tackles most of the time. What's happened with him and your defense? Has he just kind of figured it all out?
Yeah, I think he's, learning a new system. We're asking him to do different things than he was asked to do at his previous stops. So I think just with reps, he's gotten more comfortable, more aware of, what we're asking of him within the framework of the defense. And as a result, he's playing a lot faster. And anytime you play fast, you should be able to make plays that you're supposed to make. And he's done a great job of that, just being consistent. And the ball has found him, and he's made plays. And so it's fun to watch, to see his growth, both on and off the field. And I'm really happy he's here.
Did you have a hand in the weight thing, or was that the weight staff?
No, that is not in my job description. So that's, we got nutritionists and strength coaches and trainers that are all very hands-on with guys and how their bodies perform and what they need to get to be able to maximize their potential in this conference.
So you don't tell a guy you need to get a lot bigger. Somebody else has got to tell him that, huh?
Yeah, so I didn't go to school for that. So yeah, I'm not involved in the weight gain or loss program.
You talked last week about maybe being a little bit different schematically this year based on personnel and different things. I'm curious with the front specifically, is this like much less 5-man front than you've run before? Is it a little bit less? And like, what specifically led to that, would you say?
Yeah, it's a lot less than previous. Anytime you sort of change the front structure, there's a ripple effects. You know what I mean? So like if you've got 5 down front, then what does that mean for your second level? What does that mean for your back end rotation? And that picture, it allows you to play certain coverages and not others. And so I just think, for us and where we are from a roster standpoint and being able to heighten some of the skill sets of the guys that we have, changing that structure allows for different types of coverages, different types of disguises. And so it allowed us to be a lot more versatile and putting our guys in position, better suited for their skill set and allow them to go make plays.
This roster progresses and these young guys develop over the offseason and into next year and everything. Are there elements of defensive football that you can see in the future that you'd like to add? Like, are there things this year that you think will be there next year that maybe aren't there this year that you think this group can be a lot better at going forward?
Yeah, the fun thing about this season is we've got a lot of defense in right now. And, you turn on the tape from a week ago and we were in 5 down structures. We were in 6-man structures. We're in 4 down structures. And so it's allowed us to be a lot more versatile and be able to have a lot more answers to what offenses are trying to do to us. And so I kind of like where we are with that flexibility. And then it's just a matter of, what do you emphasize week to week based on matchups, based on scheme, and then you kind of go from there. But having the ability to be multiple is definitely a luxury, and it's credit to our guys being able to retain all that information and be able to execute, without hesitation. I think that just speaks volumes to the way our coaches have presented the installs, the way they've taught the installs, and then our guys' willingness to spend extra time and really dive into studying and how it applies to the opponent week to week. So I like where we're at. I think you always want to continue to evolve and get creative based on the opponent. But I definitely see sort of our style of play right now being, what we look like, how we operate moving forward.
What's allowed Alex McLaughlin to be so successful this season in your defense?
He's featured a lot just by nature of where he is on the field and the position he plays. But also, like, he's big, he's fast, he's a very savvy football player. He's a playmaker just in his own right, and so I think you couple his position within the defense and his skill set and natural football IQ. I think that's why he's been able to play the way he's played and be as productive as he's been.
Pretty good.
Awesome. Amari up this side and Zach Griffin the others. Feel free to fire away. Thank you.
Zach, you've been here for a while now. I don't know what your plans are for beyond the season. I don't know if there might be a year for you if you get a medical or something, but looking back on your career, if this is your last game at Husky Stadium, just how would you evaluate your time here?
Kind of strange, to be honest. Having to sit out that first year was not what I planned on at all, but yeah, that was still a great experience. Then last year, I mean, hurt most of the season, so that was different too. And then, I mean, this year it's been great being able to play and participate and stuff. Have a good year. But I've had, a lot of different defense every year, so it's been quite the ride, but it's been an amazing experience.
Have you ever had a spin move go that smoothly, like you had when you almost got the sack?
Yeah, I feel like I've had a ton of them this year go that smoothly, and they all just are just about sacks, but yeah, that one felt pretty good.
Zach, obviously, you've been through a lot over the course of your UW career. What would you say that just all these experiences have taught you the most about yourself?
So many things, but if it was one thing, I'd just say it's hard to narrow it down. Probably just perseverance. Whatever's thrown your way, you just put your head down and work, get through it. I would say that.
So did you investigate your eligibility? 'Cause, Jed said last week he thought for sure you were going to be done with this season. Did you look further into this to see if you could come back? Were you interested in that at all?
I have not looked into that, to be honest with you. I don't believe that I would be able to, but I haven't looked into it.
Amari, coming from Penn State to UW, just kind of what went into that decision? Why do you feel like this was the best fit for you?
When I was in the portal, I was looking at offenses and most efficient in the passing game, and this one stood out the most to me. So I feel like this would be a great choice to come here.
I know you obviously missed the first couple games with injury, been able to play more here recently the last couple weeks. Just curious how you'd kind of characterize your time here so far.
It's been a road, but I feel like you stay down, stick to what you know, and your time will come. So I was just ready for my time to come and take advantage of every opportunity that I get.
Did you ever talk to any of your teammates about playing against him last year?
Oh yeah, we joke about it all the time, but I don't think that'll happen. So.
I don't think you caught a pass in that game, but didn't you run one or something like that?
What'd you say?
Against Washington last year? I don't think you caught a pass, but I think you had a run, if I remember right.
Yeah, I did. It didn't go too good. So.
I guess.
Surprised with what went down with Penn State this year?
Yeah, I am. That's pretty crazy up there, and then, yeah, it's been crazy to me and all my friends.
How much do you keep in touch with the guys back at Penn State?
I talk to them pretty often, like every other day, some every day. So just whenever we have time. Since my time has changed from theirs, 3 hours, it's kind of hard, but we stay in touch as much as we can.
So you had a lot of platform when the season ended last year because you got a touchdown pass in the CFP quarterfinals. But did you leave Penn State because you needed a bigger showcase for yourself to show what you can do?
I mean, I think a lot of things went into it. I wanted, better opportunities on offense to touch the ball more, yeah. But yeah, pretty much.
What did you think of Washington when you heard that they were joining the Big Ten when you were still at Penn State? Did you know much about them?
I knew that they were good in the Pac-12, and they just went to the Natty, and then they were known for receivers, so I knew a little bit about them.
What was the most difficult part about learning Jed's offense? What are the biggest differences between what you're doing at Penn State to what you have to do now?
I would say the timing, the depth of everything, the calls with one word, and just lining up and everything, that was all pretty different from what I came from. So that part.
You got a lot of young wide receivers in the room. You're one of the older guys. You're one of the probably the oldest guy in the room, other than maybe Denzel. So just, has it been hard to take on a leadership role, considering that this is just your first year in the program, or have you been able to bring some of those younger guys along too?
I feel like I help the younger guys a lot whenever they do something wrong, or I'll try to help their technique and give them as much as I know, because I see the greatness in all of them. So I try to help them as much as I can.
When you came out of high school, Washington was recruiting a lot of Texas guys at that time. Did they make a run at you at all?
No, they didn't. They didn't.
It would have been DeBoer.
Yeah, they didn't.
You know, you played as a true freshman. Seeing the way that Dez and Raiden have been able to contribute this year, what's impressed you the most about them?
I would say what's the word? How mature they are, and they've been able to play through the whole season with their bodies being good, and how smart they are coming in. So yeah, and how hard they worked in the summer. I seen all of that, so that stood out the most.
Zach, we've got the big rivalry game this week, and I don't think you've ever played in it since you've been here at Washington. Any thoughts on what you're getting into here on Saturday?
Getting into a fight between two teams that don't like each other. Something I'm super excited for. But obviously, I've been around it. I've been in the building for 2 years now, preparing for that game. So, I've been around it. I've seen it up close. So it's not like it's going to be anything. It's Big Ten football. It's going to be a tough physical game, so we're ready for it.
Does the great dislike between the two sides intrigue you?
A lot, yeah. It's the best sort of games.
Does the feeling around this rivalry feel different, similar to the feeling around the Apple Cup? Like, how would you kind of compare the two?
I would say it feels a little different. There's still that, obviously, there's that hatred between the two teams, if you want to call it that. But this one, I think, it's just a little different. This is, I think we all agree, they're a much better team than Washington State. So in that regard, it feels a little different, a little more high stakes.
All right. Thank you very much, fellas. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Jonah, 2 seasons now, Washington, potentially your last game coming up at Husky Stadium. Not potentially, your last game coming up at Husky Stadium on Saturday. How would you reflect on the 2 years you spent here, and what do you feel like you've taken away from your time here?
It's crazy to think about. It's a lot, I guess I could say that I can take in, first and foremost. I would love to thank, all the Husky fans and the support that they just, gave me through this whole process, and how welcoming that they were. Secondly, obviously, the staff and my teammates and stuff, without them, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in, and, my family and stuff like that. So it's a lot to really reflect on. I mentioned it multiple times as far as the person that this university has turned me into, and it was definitely probably the best decision that I made in my life was coming to University of Washington. So just reflecting and looking back, I'm thankful. I want to thank the man above. He obviously helped me with the decision and pretty much everything that's been going on in my life. So just give thanks to, other people. I follow him and what he has in store for me. So like I said, without him or, any of those people along the way, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now.
How's the knee doing?
It's doing good. It's doing good.
Is it wonky wearing that brace? Like, how does that affect you, think, while you're out there?
It's all right. You know, obviously it's something that you gotta get used to. You know, it's my first time running and trying to cut and do different things with the brace, so obviously it took some getting used to.
You think you'll wear it Saturday again?
We don't know.
Okay. What did it mean to you that Jed gave you the ball up 34-7, a game that was basically over in the fourth quarter, 4th down, and said, "I want you to score"?
That just kind of goes to, I guess, the relationship that we have, and selfless teammates. Just, you know, Adam Muhammad. Shout out to him and congrats to him on his first 100-yard game. You know, I felt like a proud dad when I was able to, you know, witness that in person, because I know how hard he works and how good he is, and how much he still has to grow. So just seeing him doing that was definitely something that was amazing. But it was just more so, I guess, getting my feet wet. And, you know, obviously I missed Purdue game and half of Wisconsin game. So it was more so just getting my feel back and stuff like that as far as carrying the ball and stuff.
What exactly happened at Wisconsin on the play you were injured on?
I just got rolled up on and tackled, you know, funny. Not a way that I usually get tackled. I feel like it was just something that happened. I couldn't really have no control over what happened, you know.
You've been pretty much injury-free most of your college time, haven't you?
Yeah, that was my first time ever missing a game.
Was it really hard for you since you hadn't done that before?
Definitely. Like, I don't think I haven't missed a game in high school, and I don't remember the last time I think the last time I even missed a football game or anything was probably when my dad probably made me sit out for, I guess, being bad or something. And that's probably like when I was a little kid, but my first game missing, and yeah, like since I can remember. So it was definitely tough, you know, not being out there and playing, because I know how much work I put in and how much love I have for the game. So just being able to not be out there with my teammates was definitely tough, but it was great to see them to get the job done.
How has this season gone for you relative to your expectations for yourself and for the offense as a whole?
I mean, we're sitting here at 8 wins and top 5 in the country as far as third down conversion, something that we really wanted to attack, you know, this offseason. And, you know, we got 8 wins, so it's not many teams that can say that they got 8 wins this year. So trying to go get our 9th this week.
Since you're citing national stats, was it fun for you to be the national leader in touchdowns scored for several weeks?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously wish I could have kept that going, but, you know, got banged up a little bit. But I'm still chasing it. The season's not over. We got one more game.
Jonah, I guess what would you hope that maybe your legacy here is with this team or with this program?
Well, you always want to leave a jersey, and I would say a place better than you found it, as far as, you know, what you've, you know, done. You know, I always can say that I put, you know, my complete whole self into this program, and, you know, building this culture and making sure that what I've done here won't be forgotten. So I do my best as far as, you know, being with the young guys and attacked and recruiting and basically just get things flowing how they need to be flowing, you know, around here, as far as how the culture is built and what the standard is and, you know, the expectations. And I just think that being able to do that with the staff and obviously being able to connect with some young guys like Damon Williams, who's going to be here, Adam's going to be here, and John Mills is going to be here, and RDA, a couple defensive guys. Like, it's going to be a lot of guys still here. So just being able to share these moments with those guys and, I guess, go to war and be able to do all the stuff that we did this summer, as far as, you know, the lifting, the running, the practices, all the stuff that, you know, that's hard together, and being able to go through that process, you know, with them. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. And just being able to show them, like, if you come close and, you know, you get to know one each other, you get to love one of each other, like there's a limit, you know, there's nothing that you guys can't accomplish, you know. So just being able to that they know that, and that the off season is the biggest part, you know. That's when you win games. It's in the off season in January and February and March and April. So just making sure that they attack that part, you know, hard. So because I know they're gonna be really good. We got a special young group, so I'm excited I was able to be a part of, you know, their process.
You know, you've been a real kind of champion of the culture that Jed has talked about a lot here since you've been here. When you first were in the portal and talking with him about coming up here and rejoining him, was that something you guys talked about? Was that idea of kind of being the guy who was gonna show people what it was gonna look like? How much you guys talk about that?
It was more so, I would say, yeah, once I got here, we obviously had that talk because guys were a part of a different culture and things were ran completely different as far as practices, the way the schedule was changing from a morning schedule to an afternoon schedule, as far as how much was asked of us, you know, in the Coach Fish program, and how hard we work. So just trying to get those guys, you know, implemented into, you know, what was going on. Like, I knew how it looked because, you know, we did it in Arizona. As far as my first season there, they were coming off a 1-11 season, so I got to be a part of that process of, oh, we got to work our butt off. Oh, then we went 5-7. You know what? We didn't work hard enough that summer. Then we went 10-3. We worked our butt off that summer, and we still felt like we, you know, left some stuff out there on the table. So just being able to see something and, you know, be a part of, you know, you know exactly how it's supposed to be ran and did. So I'll tell the guys, you know, firsthand, like, we got to work our butt off all summer. We got to win those games in January, February, March, like I was saying. So just being able to witness and be a part of that Arizona team has, you know, helped me grow into the leader I am today.
Welcome, Jonah.
One last thing, Oregon game here, how does that affect you? You played some Arizona State games and Washington State games. This rivalry probably is a little bit higher than those as far as emotion, I think. How do you feel about it?
It's another game, but obviously, you know, we know how it is when it's rivalry week. Obviously, have to sit on that loss for 365 days, just like we, you know, had to sit on the Wazoo loss and how we handled that. So, just trying to have a good week of practice. You know, win today, win tomorrow, win Thursday, win Friday, and be at our best on Saturday. The rest will take care of itself.
All right. Thanks. All right, John, thank you.
Thank you.